Welcome everybody. Welcome to the people in the gallery. Welcome to people online. Oh, there are a great number of here tonight. And welcome councillors to this, our annual meeting. And especially welcome to our new councillors who are taking their places tonight. And it's important to say a huge thank you to those three councillors who have now stepped away from this council. Giving their service is a great thing to the people of the island, and we wish them well in their futures. Just a couple of things. First, in the event of a fire, please go out of the gallery to the left and down the stairs. We're not expecting any fire alarms tonight, so if there is a fire alarm, please use the steps and go down and help each other. We meet down and opposite the police station on the grass. And please don't come back into the building unless you're asked to do so by officers. This meeting is being recorded for your information. And please could you turn your telephones onto silent or off, please. So at this point, I need to leave the chamber. Oh no, sorry, apologies first. Are there any apologies? Anybody missing that we know of? No, thank you very much. So now, at this point, I need to hand you over to the Vice Chairman for the first item on the agenda, because I believe that there may or may not be a nomination. I mean, I have to leave by rule of the authority. Sir.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. You've run through the normal procedures. I would just make one comment. If and when you make a proposal for a nomination for chair, please speak clearly into the microphones and please keep your hands away from your mouths so that everybody can hear exactly what you are saying. Thank you. So we now turn to the order of business. Yes, Councillor Brodie.
Are you seeking nominations now?
Yes,
anticipating. Okay, I'd just like to say a couple of words first. This is now my 21st year on the council, and in the initial years, the chair of the council only ever served 1 year as chair. In recent years, it's become a bit of a double thing, which isn't really the intention of the role as far as I'm concerned. I think Councillor Love has done an excellent civic role as chair, but is less able in the chairing of meetings. It's a difficult situation to be able to do both. I accept that. And there's only one councillor in my experience who could do both, and it wasn't me. The person who was is somebody who will remember was Roger Mazzilius, who was very good in the civic role, but also was very good at chairing meetings. But very few people can do both. I don't think Councillor Love is able to do that. He's been an excellent civic chair, but not so much of meetings. I would like to make an alternative nomination this year. I'd like to nominate Ian Daw, Councillor Ian Daw, the member for Binstead and Fishbourne. Ian has been a member of the council for 4 years now. I think Ian would be an excellent chair of this council, not only in a civic role, but I think he would have the authority of chairing our meetings, which sometimes, particularly at the moment where we have a hung council, the authority to manage those meetings well. For those of you who don't know Ian, and I don't know Ian that well, but I know him well enough. I know he had a military background as a private soldier, and he'd been a disc jockey. And I think he still does some of that some of the time as well. He has a young family, etc. And I do think he would be an excellent chair. That's no disrespect to Councillor Love, but I do wish we could get back to a situation where the chair is only in position for 1 year. That is something that I did. And if you remember, at the end of my first year, I was very clear. I didn't want to seek a second year, and I'd like to get back to that. Thank you, Chair.
So I'm assuming, Councillor Brodie, that you are nominating Councillor Daw for the chair. Do you have a seconder, please? I think Councillor Lucioni was the first one to raise her hand. Do I have further nominations for chair of the council? Councillor Jarman?
Thank you, Councillor Churchman. I'm going to nominate Councillor Love so that he continues in the role that he has. I think he's come a long way in the year. I think he represents this council amply well outside. I think his skills have developed here in the chamber, and I think he's become more adept at listening to advice, which is very important. More importantly, I think he represents the spirit of equality and diversity, which this council aspires to, and he does a very good job at that. And for those qualities, I fully endorse him and I recommend him to the council. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Blake? Do you wish to speak, Councillor Blake? Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I forgot to ask Councillor Lucioni if she wished to speak about her nomination. Is the answer no? Right, in which case, Councillor Blake, would you like to proceed?
Only to echo Councillor Jarman's views. Thank you.
Right. Are there any other nominations for chair of the Isle of Wight Council? There are no hands going up. So, Francis? Sorry? Yes, I've been reminded. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favour of either of the two nominations? May I please request that you keep your rhetoric, if you like, fairly short. And we'll start with Councillor Bacon. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And I would like to speak in support of Councillor Daw. As you may have seen, I did try and raise my hand to second him just a moment ago. I will be brief. I remember what Councillor Brodie referred to, that practice of having a chair for 2 years. It was 2009, because the then Vice Chair was not returned at the election in that year. And it was a situation of necessity at that point, but I do agree with the comments that it has become the practice for perhaps the wrong reasons. As I say, I'm very happy to support Councillor Daw as chair. I've sat near him for the last 4 years and worked with him on various things throughout that time. He's been a dedicated ward member and done some particularly impressive work in respect of flooding. But the chair is a civic role, largely a civic role. And in that regard, Ian has done much impressive work as Island Armed Forces champion, most notably in respect of his work in relation to Island Armed Forces Day. And I'm sure he would bring that same commitment and drive to the role of chair. And I suspect that his military background and ability would also enable him to keep control in this chamber as well. And I'd particularly like to see that happen. So, as I say, for those brief reasons, I'm happy to support the nomination of Councillor Daw.
Thank you, Councillor Bacon. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak? Councillor Brading.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. It's a difficult one because I'm sure Councillor Daw would do a great job as chair of this council, but Councillor Love has chaired us through a very, very difficult year. I take what Councillor Brodie says on board about, the policy should be, or has been in the past, traditionally 1 year. In the times I've been in this chamber, we've gone against that over recent years. I think Councillor Love has done a great job. Publicly, yes, he's a brilliant representative for the council, as are you as his deputy. And I think Councillor Love should continue this change into the committee system. It's something he's chaired right the way through the proposed changes. And I'll be supporting Councillor Love to continue the work he's done, seeing us transition to a new way of operating. Thank you.
Do we have anybody else who wishes to speak? Councillor Love? Councillor Love.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Slight slip of the
Just
tongue.
very briefly, I support the nomination of Ian Dorr. I think a year as chair it should be the norm. I think Ian's unwavering work for the Armed Forces Covenant has been something to witness and a pleasure to witness at that. So I'm very much in favour of Ian.
Anybody? Oh, Councillor Robertson.
Can I just check, Chair, is it correct that Councillor Dorr can vote on this and Councillor Love can't vote on this?
That is correct. The reason that Councillor Love cannot vote is because as chair, he could have the deciding vote and there is not allowed to vote for himself on a deciding. If the council was split evenly and he was sitting here as chair, he obviously could make the decision, but as he's nominated for the chair, that is not allowed. This is why he has to leave the room. Francis will expand further.
Yes, thank you, Chair, through you. Just so I can outline the legal principles here, is that if there is a nomination for a sitting chair, then there is case law that suggests that that nomination is void. Now, under the Local Government Act, the chair in a meeting must preside. That's the requirement. So that's why we ask the chair to leave. Otherwise, if the chair was here, they'd need to preside and they couldn't preside because any nomination for them would be void. So that is a strong legal position. Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions? Is everybody quite happy with the scenario?
Can I just ask, Chair, what happens if Councillor Love were to resign now as chair of this council, right now?
I have no idea, Councillor Robertson. I think with agreement, we should now proceed to the vote. We have two nominations, Councillor Dorr and Councillor Love. So the monitoring officer will now deal with the votings.
Members, just so you're clear what I'm doing, because there are two nominations, I'm going to do a roll call, really. So I'll call each member by name, and if you can say who your vote is for, Councillor Love or Councillor Gore, and then what we'll do is we will plot it up and have a result. If I can start that process now, Chair. Oh yeah, of course, abstentions always apply. Yeah, for, against, or abstention. Okay, so Councillor Adams, Councillor Andre,
For Councillor Ian Dorr.
Councillor Bacon,
Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Beston,
Councillor Love.
Councillor Blake,
Councillor Love.
Councillor Brading,
Councillor Love.
Councillor Brodie,
Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Cameron,
Councillor Love.
Councillor Churchman,
Councillor Love.
Councillor Critchinson,
Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Dorr, Councillor Downer,
Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Drew,
Councillor Love.
Councillor Fuller,
Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Garrett,
Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Gladwin,
I'm abstaining.
abstention, Councillor Henry,
Councillor Love.
Councillor Jarman, Councillor Jones Evans,
Councillor Ian Dorr.
Councillor Jordan,
Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Lever,
Councillor Ian Dorr.
Councillor Lilly,
Councillor Ian Dorr.
Councillor Lilly,
Councillor Ian Dorr.
sorry.
Councillor Ian Dorr again.
Councillor McLean,
I will abstain.
Councillor Mosdell,
Councillor Love.
Councillor Nicholson,
Love.
Councillor Oliver,
Councillor Love.
Councillor PC Wilcox,
Councillor Ian Dorr.
Councillor Price,
Councillor Carl Love.
Councillor Quigley,
Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Quirk,
Councillor Love.
Councillor Ray Redrup,
Councillor Love.
Councillor Sarah Redrup,
Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Robertson,
Councillor Love.
Councillor Spink,
Councillor Love.
Councillor Stevens,
Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Stewart,
Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Ward. Concludes that, Chair. We'll just pot it up. To 17. Okay. Right, do you want to read it, Chair? What do you want to do? 29 for Dorr.
Right, the results are, the results are as follows. Councillor Dorr has 19 votes, Councillor Love has 17, and there were 2 abstentions. So I declare Councillor Dorr as the chairman of the Isle of Wight Council for the coming year. Would somebody There will now be a short recess while the new chairman goes to the office and collects his regalia and signs the relevant document. Thank you.
I didn't expect that. Thank you, fellow councillors. It's greatly appreciated. I won't be appointing a consort. I would like to pay tribute to Councillor Carl Love and present them first of all with the past chairman's badge and ask them to say a few words. Carl.
What a year I've had, thanks to all of you, and thanks to the people of the island who've invited me along to represent you at their events. It's not just about going to events to be there for a civic reason. It's there we have a chair to go along who goes along and inspires people, who motivates people, who represents the council and champions all of those wonderful charities and organisations that they represent during this particular term of office. And I wish you well in that, Ian, in terms of moving forward. And I hope you have as much fun and as enjoyment that I've had from it. I can't help feeling a bit disappointed. I mean, that would be a natural feeling, wouldn't it? But you never know, might be back sometime. Who knows? I've said that once before somewhere. I think that was an election of on the stage of going for an MP at one point. But yes, it's been a truly amazing year, and it is about promoting this council to not just our local population, but over there on the mainland. So I want to thank all of you who voted for me tonight. I want to thank all of those who voted for me in the previous occasion. What a transformation, eh? From left to right and right to left in terms of who voted and who didn't vote. I said I would try to win you across, and I think I did try to win you across. Sadly, I lost the other side. But there we go. That's life. That's how council and politics is. And finally, just to say thank you to David, he's not here at the moment, for supporting me in this, because I could not do any of it without his support. So good luck. Enjoy your year of office, and I'll be back.
We don't normally do this, but would anybody like to say any other words on behalf in respect of Councillor Love?
Thank you, Chairman. Carl, I would like to say thank you. I think you did a brilliant job as chairman, along with David. I think the pair of you did the job proud, and it was good to see you about on just about every occasion there was. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. Councillor Garrett.
Thank you, Chair. I'd certainly, I voted for you last year, Carl. I'm sorry I didn't vote for you this year, but I do feel like Councillor Dorr will do a marvellous job. I just want to thank you, Carl, for, if I may, Councillor Love, I should say, of course. Thank you for your service over the last year. And can I, as a member of the LGBT plus community as well, thank you for the work that you have done to ensure that the island shows that it celebrates diversity. And I think, if nothing else, and you will take so much away from that, but you will have that as a legacy. I grew up on this island and remember how things were back in the 1980s. This is a rainbow island, and you've been part of making sure that that's absolutely entrenched. So, Carl, if I may address you by your first name, thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you, Andrew. Councillor Nicholson. John.
Yeah, I think that Councillor Love has been a tremendous chairman. He's represented the council with his heart and his soul. It's spent so much to Carl to do that job, and he's been exemplary in doing that. He's also chaired these meetings very well, with a sense of discipline and with a sense of humour, which I've very much appreciated. So I'd like to thank Carl very much for his tenure, and congratulate you, Ian, because I'm sure you'll be a tremendous chairman as well.
Very kind of you, Councillor Nicholson. Thank you. I'll be done in a month. I'm not going to stay the year. I'll be out. Councillor Brodie. Jeff.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations. Like Councillor Garrett, I voted for Councillor Love last year and voted for Councillor Dore this time. He knew I was going to do that. I made no secret of that in advance of the meeting. I didn't really know Carl that well until the start of his year. And I have to say he's been an exemplary civic head of this council, because that is an important part of the role, that part that I detested in my year in that chair. I have to say, absolutely detested with every fibre of my body. Carl was fantastic, absolutely brilliant at it. Like a lot of other chairs in the past have been much better at the civic role than the actual chairings of meetings. I just want to say a thank you to Carl, because I didn't know him that well a year ago. But as people know, I was very unwell during his year of office, and he became a very good friend of mine during that year. He constantly kept in touch with me. He met with me on a regular basis. We discussed experiences of cancer, etc. And he was a real friend to me through that. So not voting for him tonight was quite difficult for me, which is why I was quite open with him in advance that I wouldn't, for the reasons I spelled out earlier on in this meeting. So therefore, thank you, Carl. If you want to come and sit next to me, you're very welcome. You know, because I'm sure you don't want to sit over there. Just, it's, you know, you'll be able to share your thoughts with me and have a bit of political discipline, if you wish. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Brodie. Councillor Jarman, Chris.
I'd like to thank Carl so much for sharing his year in the chair with all of us here, and for what I believe was an exemplary year that he did representing the council. And as important as it is to recognise Carl for the role he spent in that, I think we should also give a round of applause to David, who I believe is probably up in the gallery. He's not, he'll be watching online, or at least watching the recording, and a profound thank you to him as well for sharing the journey with us all. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Councillor Jarman. Councillor Robertson, Joe.
Thank you. Can I congratulate you, Chair, on being elected for your year in office, and just really to add my voice to all those who thanked and congratulated Councillor Love. He was an excellent chair. I thought he chaired the meetings very well, actually, and wasn't, you know, afraid of just pausing the meeting, consulting with the monitoring officer before proceeding. And together with David, it's been exemplary for this island. And every time I've seen you, Councillor Love, in my new role as MP, you've represented the island fantastically and been a real symbol and beacon of the island sort of forward looking. Thank you.
Thank you very much, members. Carl, it's clear you've had a profound effect in council this year, and I would like to thank you very much for the support on the armed forces side of life in Cowes and East Cowes, and also your sharing of your family history in that regard as well. And it's turned a circle, as Councillor Garrett has hinted at, with equality and diversity. It's far more in the limelight as it should be, and part of that is down to your dedicated service. So thank you, Carl. We shall move on with business, and the next part of business is to appoint a vice chair of the council for the ensuing year. So I ask for nominations, please. Councillor Blake, Ed.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to propose Councillor Vanessa Churchman, if I may speak to her now. I think she's done an exemplary stint as a vice chair, stepping in when the chair couldn't at civic events. Also, her knowledge of previous council meetings going back many a year. I don't know how she's managed to do that at being just 21, but you know, is always always well appreciated, and I say she's done an exemplary job, and I'd like to propose her to carry on for a second year, please, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Blake. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Brodie, thank you. Have we any further nominations for vice chair? Easy win. That's it. Do we have any other members that would like to speak in support of Councillor Churchman for this nomination? No? In that case, let us move to the vote. All in favour of supporting Councillor Churchman, please so. Anyone against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Congratulations, Vanessa.
May I say, I'm absolutely shattered. Thank you very much. And I promise what the Girl Guide say, to do my best, to do my duty to God and the Queen. Thank you.
So we need the newly elected Vice Chair to read out loud and sign the declaration of acceptance of office with the monitoring officer and then give a speech of thanks. So if you give us a couple of minutes whilst we get that arranged, thank you.
I'm sure you'll all be delighted to listen to this. Declaration of acceptance of office. I, Vanessa Churchman, having been elected to the Vice Chair of the Isle of Wight Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Churchman. I'm supposed to present you with the chain, but I see you have it already. Keep it. Item 3 on the agenda, to approve the minutes for full council meeting held on the 19th of March 2025 and the cabinet meeting held on the 24th of April 2025. Members, do we agree they are correct record and can be signed? Can we all show by affirmation, please? Anyone against? Any abstentions? Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. Item 4 on the agenda this evening, declarations of interest. I must declare, I probably have one in that we've got nominations for Armed Forces bits and bobs later on, and I'm declaring an interest in the Armed Forces Day event this year. Any other declarations of interest this evening? Right, thank you. On to item 5 on the agenda, public questions. We have a question from Joyce Milford. Joyce, hello, how are you? Good. Would you like to read out the question?
Thank you. Can you hear me? Thank you. Before I start, I want to say a huge thanks to the Scrutiny Committee and everybody involved in last week's corporate scrutiny meeting that gave us such hope in democracy. It was wonderful to behold. Thank you, everyone. My question was submitted prior to finding out the outcome of what would happen next. Ventnor Community Pantry welcomes the recommendation on community pantry funding made by councillors at last week's excellent corporate scrutiny committee. We believe, however, the original called-in decision was made on the basis of an inadequate equality impact assessment and a failure to consult properly on the impact of the proposed cuts. This was extremely distressing for our vulnerable service users, as well as being problematic for small charities delivering pantry services in these exceptionally difficult times. We believe further urgent work is needed to improve future co-production and consultation to ensure that the voices from the easily overlooked members of our community are heard whenever the vital support they need is at risk, including training of councillors and staff to develop a better and more consistent understanding of good consultation practice. Can urgent work please be undertaken to ensure the standard of all future consultations and co-production is fit for purpose?
Thank you very much, Joyce. Thank you for your question. I believe the response is going to be read out by Councillor Debbie Andre.
Thank you, Chair. Good to see you, Joyce. Thanks for coming along. So the response is, the Council is committed to ensuring that the local people are engaged in the development of the support and services available to them. The Adult Social Care and Housing Department has worked with local people to develop a co-production toolkit and is committed to ensuring that where decisions are made that affect local people and the services that they receive, the toolkit will be utilised. Regrettably, in this case, the decisions made in relation to the Household Support Fund were time sensitive, and there was insufficient time to enable full co-production and consultation in line with that toolkit. Having reflected on the process followed on this occasion, we have sought to identify how we can ensure that the views of local people are taken into consideration where timeframes for decision-making are short. We are committed to establishing a co-production group to support decision-making in adult social care and housing. The co-production group will consist of local people with lived experience who can support future decision-making where time does not permit full engagement with our communities. We thank you for the comments made in relation to co-production and consultation, and it is important to this council that we get those things right, and that when we are making decisions, those decisions take into account the views of local residents. And for further details, it may be useful to refer to previous discussions related to the Equality Impact Assessment, specifically Scrutiny Committee Public Question 39/25, if additional information on specific Household Support Fund considerations is required. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Andre. Joyce, do you have a supplementary question? Fair enough, thought I'd ask. We also have a question this evening from the Youth Council. Good evening.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to say before I ask our question, Councillor Love, on behalf of the Youth Council, it was an honour working with you in your time of chairship, and Councillor Dorr, we look forward to working with you as well. So, the Isle of Wight Youth Council would like to know, what does the Council plan to do to bring up the island's GCSE results so that they meet the national average? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very valid question. Councillor Critchinson, I believe, is going to respond.
Thank you, Chair. I'd also like to just say before that we appreciate the Youth Council coming along to the meetings and having their engagement at this time, so thank you. The answer is that we are raising attainment at GCSE level remains a key priority for the Isle of Wight Council. We're taking a strategic and collaborative approach working with all education partners, including academies. Our high-level focus is to strengthen school improvement capacity across the system through the implementation of the Isle of Wight Education Strategy to target support to schools most in need, using data-driven insights to identify where intervention with the greatest impact on standards. We can promote high-quality teaching and leadership with an emphasis on curriculum, assessment and evidence-based practice, support inclusive practice to ensure all learners, including those with SEND, can achieve their full potential, and champion ambition and aspiration in schools, in that outcomes are not only influenced by what happens in the classroom, but the wider culture of expectation across the island. We follow an ongoing review working alongside schools in a collaborative model in the best interests of children. Due to the legacy of underachievement on the island, this will take time as we build the trust, relationships and outward-looking focused culture with children at the centre. Our new school improvement team will work with individual schools and determine a more appropriate detailed monitoring indicators. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Critchinson. Do you have a supplementary?
No, thank you, Chair.
Councillor Mosdell.
Would it be possible to have some air in the chamber? It's starting to get really fuggy. I don't think, well, it's the only word I can think of describing it at the moment. I'm usually freezing cold, but I'm actually quite warm. So everybody in their suits must be really warm by now. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Item 7 on the agenda. Going to invite the leader of the council, Councillor Phil Jordan, to introduce their annual report. Councillor Jordan.
Thank you, Chair. It's in our papers here, pages 25 to 30. I won't go through it. It is, believe it or not, a small part of the commitment and work that I've been involved in the past year. It is a summary of that, but there is far more involved in the role of leader of the Isle of Wight Council, I can assure you, than is in 5 pages. But there we are. It's in our papers and it's for your digestion. I'm not sure if we're taking questions on it or not, Chair.
We are, Councillor Jordan. It's question time, ahoy. We've got 15 minutes, so I invite any questions from any councillors on Councillor Jordan's report. Nick, Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Jordan, thank you. And I think we recognise how much work has gone into this year. You specifically mentioned the affordable housing scheme at Three Oaks, which is obviously the Horsebridge development. I think you can probably guess where my question is likely to go. The development itself is most welcome. It provides affordable housing for this island and for islanders. There is absolutely no doubt that it is essential for us to be able to support our residents. However, the notice of the diversion, the one-way system at Horsebridge Hill and diversion through my ward was unexpected, surprising, and the moment I got it, quite clearly lacked certain features. I can put forward that I was very pleased with the efforts of Island Roads and of various people in the council to try and overcome some of these problems. But the issue is that without any consultation with the councillors who were affected, meant that the staff of Island Roads, the staff of the council, and more importantly, many residents were subject to enormous concerns and worries. And what for some of us might be a minor problem diversion of maybe another 20 minutes, for other people can be extremely difficult when they're trying to get to doctors, where they're trying to move around on a regular basis.
Councillor Stewart, can I press you for the question, please?
You can.
Thank you.
And the question is, do you accept that it would have been better and would be good practice for these type of schemes, whoever is responsible, to be released to councillors much sooner?
Thank you, Councillor Stewart, for the question. I suppose the first thing to say is, as you inferred and referred to, this particular scheme is a third-party scheme. It's a private developer in conjunction with a housing association. And the traffic management plan, of which you're referring to in terms of how the traffic would be suggested to move around due to the roadworks on the main road, falls entirely on the responsibility of the developer, their contractor, to be agreed by Island Roads. The only interest that the council has in this is issuing the Section 278 notice. Section 278 notice is the works permit. And in fact, the works permit is part of the problem of the delay in notification of the roadworks, because the section 278 permit was issued around 10 to 14 days before the work actually started. But let me move, because there are lessons to be learned in this, and I absolutely agree with you, Councillor Stewart, that the consultation again at the door of the developer in Island Roads was wanting. The councillors weren't considered and consulted in good time. Neither were the residents, neither were the businesses in any suitable form. Since the work started, or just before the work started, we have held meetings with councillors. Some councillors here were in that meeting with some of the stakeholders and Island Roads and the Isle of Wight Council. As a result of that meeting, we were able to make some small changes to the traffic management plan that was agreed by Island Roads and implemented. I won't go into the details, but small changes were made. And we continue to press for further changes, because we are aware that there are still outstanding problems, particularly with a specific school bus that is finding it difficult to make the diversionary journey, but could easily follow a bus that does have an exemption to pass through the light. So I think there's lessons to be learned. We need to work out how, when it's third-party works, that they do consult with this council and do consult with the councillors concerned who are more on the ground with here. So I know since I've been up there 2, 3, 4 times now at varying times of the day, I know that the traffic is moving slightly better than day one. But as I said, there are lessons to be learnt here, and we need to ensure going forward that works of this nature on such a main road with so much disruption involved, we engage much more fully, much more early.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Garrett, Andrew.
Thank you, Chair. And my question very much follows that of Councillor Stewart as the ward councillor for that development, which has seen significant disruption. Something that I warned about from even the committee which considered this planning application in January 2024. I welcome your commitment to ensuring that there will be a review and learning from this. That needs to be open, transparent, and candid. And I hope I would ask that you, if you remain the leader of this council, press for that. There are some needs for changes, and I will voice those to see if those can be kind of captured, and that you could through via a question. In particular, there is a set of 75 houses which are particularly trapped by this. This is Nicholson Street, Miller Close, and Rook Street. They have no choice. Whichever direction they go, they must pass through the diversion list. And they're cancelling doctors' appointments. They're cancelling all sorts of things. It's causing them great stress. For some, there are issues of accessibility because insufficient consideration is given to the how bad the footway is on the eastern side. So my question is, and it is to you as leader of the council, and if you remain as leader of the council, that you take this up. If somebody else does, that they take this on, that we communicate this to the public, that we have learnt and understand our part in all of this, and that we will communicate it to Southern Water, who have significant number of works to do in the coming year, not least on Horsebridge Hill and Forest Road, which are already experiencing the impacts of the one-way closure and the diversion. And finally, to think creatively around issues such as allowing northbound turns out of Nicholson Street, which would go a long way to alleviate some really serious difficulties being caused to those residents. That's my question is, do you largely agree with what I put forward to you, Leader?
Thank you, Councillor Garrett. Absolutely agree with that. Fully support that, and I share your frustrations. You know my own frustrations with this. It could have been done better. It's my only comment again is, as a council, we're not directly involved, but that's not said to seek and avoid any responsibility, but the responsibility lies elsewhere. But as a highways authority, we need to make sure that these works are carried out in a way that consultation, as you said, consultation and very close regard to the disruption and people's lives are taken into account, which certain stakeholders may not have that wider concern about. So absolutely support it, Councillor Garrett.
Thank you, Councillor Jordan. Councillor Jarman. Chris.
Thank you, Chair. My question follows on very closely from that of Councillor Garrett, and I have engaged with Councillor Garrett on this. I engaged with the Highways Authority and sought to ensure that through the roadworks, which we've been discussing, that school transports and taxis carrying patients to the hospital would be allowed through. Unfortunately, those requests were declined, which is unfortunate. And certainly unfortunate for the children involved, and more unfortunate, I suggest, for the patients who were trying to reach urgent appointments. So the question is, will the leader, whoever that happens to be in the future, please ensure that the relationship is managed with Island Roads such that a protocol is there to ensure that pre-engagement happens with the respective ward councillor and that all measures are taken to ensure the safety of school children and hospital patients. Thank you.
Let me just repeat that the council are not involved in the traffic management plan. This I have to keep repeating this because there is because the council become involved in trying to broadcast valuable information about the traffic management plan and the works and the diversion and the reasons for it. It seems that there are those that believe the council are involved in these works. We're not. So my commitment to answer that question, exactly the same. Yes, we need to ensure that these things are dealt with by the third parties in good time. And some of that dealing in good time means consultation with local councillors, wherever the works may be. So absolutely, consultation. But Island Roads did not create the traffic management plan. That's created by the third party developer and their contractors, just so that we understand this, where the responsibilities actually lie. Thank you.
You may, Councillor Jarman.
Thank you, Chair. So will the council seek to use its role as a highways authority and in particular the opportunity to put conditionals onto section 278 permits to ensure the measures I've spoken of? Thank you.
Section 278 is issued by the legal department, not the highways department.
I wasn't specific to what branch of the council would issue it.
Thank you, Councillor Jarman. Councillor Lilly. Michael.
I wish to refer to your particular mention of the new partnership with Southern Water and the development of that, which I welcome, but that hasn't stopped the hundreds of sewage releases onto our beaches and the sea that are happening on a regular basis, particularly when there's torrential rain. And in fact, in my ward, where you have Ryde and Apley beaches, you've had 156 sewage releases since the beginning of January. So I want to know what the council intends to bring Southern Water to account for still polluting our important environment. And I did welcome his attendance at the big paddle out at Apley Park, where I know that a number of people from different political parties actually.
Councillor Lilly, can we move forward? I know we're running out of time on this, and I'd like to hear the Lilly's responses. I'm sure everybody else would.
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, enjoyed the paddle along the beach on Saturday in the sun. Thank you so much. I absolutely share your concerns, your worries. not the only reason I turned up, one of the reasons I turned up, show the support. We do have an MOU with Southern Water. It is difficult. We need wider powers that government have yet to pass down to us. Maybe in devolution, if we could get devolution done, they may be some of the interesting powers that we could be talking to government about in terms of localised powers. The very thing, perhaps, that devolution does well, passing those kinds of powers down. So share your concerns. Our pressure on Southern Water comes through operational relationships we have with them and our MOU. We continue as an authority to place pressure on them. That said, they have some schemes. You know that they have a Pathfinder scheme, around 50 million they're investing on the island over the next 5 to 10 years. Some of those schemes that they are trying to deliver, like the SUD scheme, in Gurnard. There's a meeting tomorrow. We're trying to safeguard that scheme that has run into difficulties over PFI contract accrual, another issue to be dealt with. And so all of those issues have to be tackled with the MOUs in place. We continue to pressure them, and we hope they invest their money wisely in schemes that help reduce the overflows and the discharges.
Thank you, Councillor Jordan. Very briefly, Councillor Love, you've got 30 seconds. No, pick it up later. No problem at all. Councillor Quigley.
Very briefly, thank you to the leader for his almost daily commitment to discuss the roadworks and Horsebridge Hill with me. But does he agree that under very difficult circumstances, the new Children's Services Director have done an excellent job of bringing the services back in-house?
Thank you. Absolutely. It was a turning point in this council. We're going to repeat it with public health, by the way, very shortly. The director came in, built his team, and we moved on and away from our relationship with Hampshire, and we're a better authority and a better island and a better community for it.
Thank you, Councillor Jordan. Councillor Spink, Councillor Mosdell, perhaps you'll be able to bring your questions later on in members' questions. We've run out of time, I'm afraid. Thank you. Agenda item number 8, approval of the committee system constitution and scheme of delegation. I'm going to ask the monitoring officer to introduce the report. Francis.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, I don't intend saying a lot about this report, councillors, as Councillor Garrett's going to move the recommendation. In terms of the constitution report, councillors will be aware that on the 1st of May, an extraordinary meeting agreed a new form of governance. This constitution picks up that new form of governance and operationalises it. And in addition to the constitution, to this that members need to be aware of. There is the bit about the, I mean, council agreed a resolution for what's called colloquially a call-in system, which is following a motion from Councillor Brodie, which is about council recovering certain decisions for exceptional. It's an exceptional process. But full council under this new system, because there's no executive, full council can delegate and does delegate its powers to the committees below. Full council can recover those powers. This process enables those powers to be recovered in exceptional circumstances, subject to certain guardrails, which is 50 plus 1% of the council sign a call-in or a recovery process. In addition to that, there is also a slight amendment that Councillor Garrett will refer to the planning protocol, which is it's a simple amendment. There should be an addendum that members have seen either online, or there are few copies available. That was just an error in terms of public speaking. Elements of the protocol didn't make it into the constitution, so that's being addressed. So there's no fundamental issue there. So thank you, Chair. That's all I wanted to say, and I think Councillor Garrett's going to move the.
Thank you, Francis. Chair of Audit and Governance, Councillor Andrew Garrett, to formally move the recommendation with addendum text. Andrew, please, this has been a work.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This has indeed been a long journey. It is 4 days are over the 2-year mark since Councillor Brodie brought a motion to this council to start us on this pathway. He is here to see the work finished, and that is great credit to you, Councillor Brodie, to Jeff, for your persistence in wanting us to move to a more democratic, in my view, and more accountable and transparent system. It has been a long journey. For all of us, it will be a new journey. And for those new members of the council, can I welcome from my group, the councillors Cameron, Gladwin and McLean to this chamber. You are probably in the best position because you haven't experienced the previous one. And so you're learning without any bias before you. Having thanked Councillor Brodie, I'd like to thank all those who worked on the working group that came before us actually adopting as a council that we would move forward on this, and then Audit and Governance picked up the formal work. Particularly want to thank those officers who worked so hard to get us to this position, given so many other pressures that they've experienced on during this pathway with other matters. I think it's also right that we thank the current cabinet members, because they currently are cabinet members, for their work, and all those cabinet members who went before them. We disagree on some of us disagree on the system, but we don't disagree that you've always fought to deliver what is best for the Isle of Wight. We're taking that spirit forward through this new system, and indeed all those scrutiny chairs who did that work as well to make that happen. And indeed last week was the last hurrah, and a good hurrah for the cabinet scrutiny system. We can't go back for about 5 years though, so don't pine for it too much. There is a recommendation before you, which I now move formally. I take it that you have read it. It comes with the addendum that Mr. Fernandez has spoken about. There are amendments proposed in there for your agreement. Do recall, though, that there will be a 6-month review. This has always been part of the process, and snagging and major issues that appear can be dealt with at that. If they are particularly urgent, of course, full council can deal with them as it goes along. So I think it is a bright future for this council. I very much look forward to it. However you feel about it, do take part. You will have much more say. Your vote will count in a way that for many of you, your vote has not counted on key decisions. So I formally move that. And if I may, Chair, might I invite Councillor Brodie to second me on that as the architect of this move?
Councillor Brodie.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your remarks, Councillor Garrett. And I have to say thank you to him, the Audit and Governance Committee, the members of the working group before that, and all the officers who had to work themselves really almost to death on getting this done at a very difficult time. I will say that this isn't just a journey of 2 years for me. This is the start of a journey that started the day that Tony Blair decided to introduce cabinet governance into local government entirely unnecessarily, in my view, 25 years ago. I spoke against that within the political party I was a member of at the time. I have consistently been against it. And the last 2 years have just been tremendous, really. There's one councillor I have to thank, who was then the leader of the Conservative group, Councillor Mosdell, who brought her group behind the change, which, to be honest with you, I thought that would be my biggest fight. But she brought them with me, and they've been very supportive throughout, and there were other members of that group on the working group. It's a historic day. People say, well, what's this all about? It's about democracy. I like living in a democracy. I don't want to live in, in a leadership cult or anything like that. I'm about democracy, and this is about bringing leadership into local government at our level. The recovery procedure is slightly different to the motion I got you all to agree to 2 months ago, but it's acceptable to me. I was consulted with about that. There are other elements in the recommendations that I would leave to Councillor Spink to speak on, since he spoke on, since he he led the planning issues, but I will certainly be voting for this. I'm absolutely over the moon, and hopefully it will work well. I volunteer for everything I possibly can in the committee system. You're going to be sick of the sight of me, believe you me, in my last year, you know, because I'm going to enjoy my last year on this council. Thank you, Chair, and thank you again, Councillor Garrett.
Thank you, Councillor Brody. Can I just confirm you are seconding this?
Yeah,
Good man. Right. So proposed and second, I'm inviting other members to comment on this. Councillor Churchman, Vanessa.
Just to give a great big vote of thanks to officers. I don't think it's protocol to actually name names, but they have worked fantastically hard to produce, I mean, what is it, 400 pages, ladies and gentlemen? They worked their socks off. So a big vote of thanks to the Chief Exec and the officers. Having sat some of the time on the committee, I also appreciate the brain power of people like Councillor Brodie and Councillor Garrett and Councillor Spink in getting this lot, and we should be extremely proud of it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Churchman. Councillor Mosdell, Claire.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Brodie. I truly believe in democracy, and actually it has been a journey to get everybody on board to get to this point, but I think we've all got to realise to make this work, it's going to be really hard work. So we do need to make sure that we are all committed to make sure that we will have the right people who are chairs of the committees, but also that everybody turns up and gives their view. It's all very well to saying you've all got to vote and you've all got a voice, but if you're put on a committee, you need to make sure that you're part of that committee, you read the papers and you go along and give an intelligent and thoughtful answer at those committees. You know, it will work, but it will only work as long as everybody in this chamber puts the effort into it to make it work. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mosdell. Anybody else would like to comment on this momentous piece of work and occasion? Councillor Spink, Peter.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to say that I too fully support the change to a committee form of governance. In terms of the specifics, I played some part in the planning protocol. It's not a finished job, as it were. We will still be looking at whether or not further changes can be made as the system evolves. But the current amendments that have been made to the Constitution that full council last voted on, some amendments have been made which were brought before an informal meeting of audit and governance, and were also discussed not only with members of the planning committee and the planning committee section of the protocol group, but also with Mr. Ollie Bolter, our strategic manager for planning and infrastructure, and both the informal meeting of audit and governance and Mr. Bolter and the planning committee members who are part of the protocol group have all support those amendments, particularly on the basis that it will be looked at again in due course. So I would support this motion and would ask the chamber to vote in support of it together with the amendments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Spink. Councillor Garrett, there are no more comments. Would you care to sum up? No. So I propose that we go to the vote and we vote by affirmation. All in favour? Anyone against? Good. No abstentions. Thank you. Carried. Oh, sorry, didn't see you. You should wave at the back a little bit and catch my two. Okay, fair enough. Well, 2 abstentions. Still well across. I would like to propose ahead of a break to move item 12, which is quite an important one. We've still got a fair bit to get through this evening, up to the next agenda item ahead of the election of the leader for the ensuing year. So item 12 is to approve the programme of ordinary meetings of full council and of the council's committees for the municipal year. Francis is to introduce that. If you'd be so kind, Francis.
Yes, Chair. I have nothing much more to add to the report. It's before members. Can I ask, Chair, that you propose the report and then seek a seconder and then can move to the debate. Thank you, Chair.
Absolutely. Thank you, Francis. I would like to move the programme of ordinary meetings of full council and I seek a seconder. Councillor Brodie, thank you. Have we anybody wishing to comment on this? In that case, we'll go straight to the vote by affirmation, if we please. All in favour? Against? Any abstentions? Fantastic. Thank you very much. Members, I propose that we have a little bit of an adjournment for a comfort break. Any conversations that need to happen before we move back with the rest of agenda. So 15 minutes, I think, would be adequate. Thank you very much. 10 or 15? 10? Okay, 10 it is. I'm happy with that. Don't be cheeky.
Sorry, Chair.
One at a time. One at a time. Councillor Mosler.
So my suggestion would be that we vote for the leader and the deputy leader and then move to the break, because then it would be the chairs of the committees that will be led by whoever is leader.
Yep, super.
And people will get the feeling of who's going where and who's doing what.
It's only because I need a tinkle, Councillor Mosler.
But I can't help what you're doing, sir.
It is. I'm dying up here. Okay, let's get on with the heavy hitting stuff, shall we? Right. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, item 9 on the agenda, to elect the leader of Isle of Wight Council for the ensuing year. I seek nominations, please. Councillor Price, Matt.
Thank you, Chairman. I would like to nominate Councillor Ed Blake.
Thank you. Nomination of Councillor Blake. Councillor Bacon.
I would like to nominate Councillor Jordan.
Thank you, Jonathan. Have we got a seconder for Councillor Blake, please? Councillor Nicholson.
Yeah, I'd like to second Councillor Blake, please.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. And a seconder for Councillor Jordan. Councillor Stevens. Thank you. Would members like to speak on their nominations? Councillor Price first.
Thank you, Chairman. I feel Ed is the right person to lead this council. He is a hard-working businessman. He has integrity. He is willing to work with anyone for the good of our island. And in particular, and most importantly, at this crucial time, will fight hard with our MPs to ensure the island gets the right deal, especially in regards to the mayoral authority. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Price. Councillor Bacon.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I would like to nominate Phil. We've had a few differences in the past, but overall, Phil has done excellent work, and in recent months, particularly in relation to devolution, he has been at the coalface in that matter. I believe that he should continue in the role of leader, so that the work he is already heavily involved in can be continued and will have the best chance of being concluded successfully. We know the process is underway. We know the process will continue and must reach a conclusion, and we must be in the best position to get the best out of it, rather than end up being part of a mopping up operation as one of the so-called white areas that is sometimes referred to. And that is the risk that is run if we don't stay right at the front of this, and with the amount of connection, drive and relationships that Phil has built up and is actively pursuing, has been actively pursuing. So for that and for many other reasons, I would like to propose Councillor Jordan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bacon. For seconding, Councillor Nicholson, would you like to speak on behalf of
Yeah,
the
I
council?
would very much.
Okay.
I've only known Ed since he was a councillor, but I've been very impressed with Ed because he's fresh into politics. He's an astute businessman and is a very balanced person, not tainted by the political tribalism that has pervaded in this council for so many years since I've been a councillor, which I absolutely abhor. I think that Ed, being leader of the largest political group, would be appropriate to lead the council. But I trust Ed in being a person who is able to exercise inclusivity amongst all councillors and all views. And I think that's why I would support Ed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. And on behalf of Councillor Jordan, Councillor Stevens, Ian.
Thank you. Yes, I willingly and feel proud actually to second Councillor Phil Jordan as leader of the Isle of Wight Council. I think he's worked long, hard and shown his talent and his inspiration throughout this chamber. Sometimes you might agree with Councillor Jordan, sometimes you might not. I'll go down that same path myself. So what I will say is that as being deputy leader, I know how hard and how difficult it is sometimes the pathway that you tread as a leader. Councillor Jordan's walk the walk, talk the talk, set up across the Isle of Wight and indeed across the region and nationally, networks which stand the island in good stead, and we can continue to back him as we will do in this chamber, across the chamber, and he will absolutely take us forward more positively, I think, in the coming months. What I would say is that it's difficult to set these networks up and take them forward. This council is only running now for, well, until next May. The difficulty is at the moment that we're down a pathway and we have these connections and these networks set up across chamber, across party political groups, and those networks, those absolutely to work to those sort of frameworks takes a time, takes a little bit of trust on all sides to take it forward. And I don't think over the next few months we've got the time to set up new networks, new frameworks, new friendships, and try and force forward another element of negotiation. But I really think that there's someone there who sat just now, answered the questions just like that, gave those answers straight out. There's a man there, a councillor there, a leader there who's absolutely in touch with what's going on within this council, as he proved, within the networks around the Isle of Wight and our stakeholders, etc. And I think that, you know, you couldn't find a better councillor in this chamber to take us forward for the next 12 months. And I'll be only too pleased to second and support Councillor Jordan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. This will be a named vote. I'll hand you over to the monitoring officer to start this moving forward. Councillor Brodie.
Chair, are we allowed to have a discussion?
I'm happy with that. It doesn't say it on a piece of paper, Jeff, but I like talking. Would you like to talk? Would you like to discuss?
I would actually.
Far away, Jeff.
This is the most important decision you'll make in many ways over the next year. I just want to ask a question of everybody in this room. Is devolution the most important thing for Islanders? Are your residents talking to you about devolution and mayors all the time? I find that very unusual because it's certainly not my experience. Certainly not my experience at all. I accept that Councillor Jordan has, been very involved in devolution. Why wouldn't he be? He's been the leader of the council for the last year and a half. Doesn't mean to say nobody else could pick that up. However, don't worry, I'm not going to vote for the Conservative nominee. I've beaten the Conservatives at 5 successive elections conclusively, and I'm certainly not going to vote for a Conservative now, even though I got on quite well with Councillor Blake in the short time I've known him. But I do think that there's been, Councillor Steve deferred to cross-chamber. I think that the Alliance group, particularly under his leadership, has become very tribal, very entrenched, and very, very anti this side of the chamber in nearly all respects. He doesn't work cross-chamber, in my view. Certainly doesn't work cross-chamber with me very much. If you oppose him, he attacks you. Members of the Empire and Islanders group would understand that. If you challenge him at all, he loses his temper. He makes me look quite peaceful. Now, I am quite peaceful these days compared to some of the reactions we've had from the leaders, Chair, over the last 18 months. I would have normally voted for Councillor Jordan. I was pleased when he became leader a year and a half ago. But I'm going to do something I've never done in my years, all my years on this council. I'm going to abstain. Never done that before. I'm not put here to abstain. I don't understand how anybody comes into this chamber and abstains, to be honest. I've had it quite strange that new councillors are abstaining. You should be doing the work in the time between your election and tonight to find out about people, in my view. That's my personal opinion, and people know I don't keep my opinions to myself. The surplus school places issue was the final straw for me with Councillor Jordan. A major issue for this island, a major issue for schools and their funding. And Councillor Jordan led a cabinet, thankfully we're getting rid of it, that was committed to that, with the cabinet member, Councillor Bacon, throughout that period, created, stirring everybody up, etc., getting parents agitated, etc. And what did he do at the end? He bottled it. And that's not the sort of leader I want, so I'll be abstaining. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Brodie. Councillor Robertson, Joe.
Thank you, Chair. I'll obviously be voting for Councillor Blake. I think this council needs new leadership. And I think if Ed Blake were to become council leader, he would help inspire a new generation to stand for this council. I'm not going to go into any more than that because it's fairly obvious I'm backing him. But I would just say, in an attempt to be helpful to our new councillors, that we're all sent to this place to cast a vote and to sit through this first council meeting, not casting a vote one way or the other for all the very important roles that are up for election tonight. In my own view, I think will look very bad in the mind of the public who have just voted for them. So I would urge all new councillors to cast a vote one way or the other.
Thank you, Councillor Robertson. Councillor Mosdell, Claire.
Thank you. And Councillor Jordan and I, we actually get on all right, Phil, don't we? Text each other now and again, usually messages going, what the hell are you doing? I just think Councillor Stevens' speech just now, saying about all the networks are being, I haven't made my mind up on devolution yet. I need to know all the details on devolution and what's it going to sit with the mayor and stuff like that. And actually that concerned me that only one person who's so far on that journey can actually deal with it any further, because then it just smacks of a done deal to me, and I'm not ready for a done deal. I'm ready to come back to this council and listen to all the facts about devolution, people going in an open mind and stuff like that. I'm sorry, but if I was leader, or Councillor Brodie was leader, or Councillor Redrock, because I think you're, I've got a lot of respect for you. I think we would all go into that meeting with actually strong personalities, as Councillor Brake has, and have that discussion. But to hear that there's all this networking going on and someone needs to carry on, I need this openness and transparency. This is why I voted and pushed for the committee system, and I want devolution and a mayoral thing to come to this chamber and us to be able to vote on that with the facts as it goes, not that we've already decided on it. I just found that really concerning with all the networking. Leaders should be strong and they should be good, and anybody who takes on that role should be able to go into that meeting and do the best for what they've been elected to, which is for the residents of this island. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mosdell. Councillor Ward, Ian.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to say good words about Councillor. We swap the portfolios over and over, and it's the same one, and it's a nightmare. Whatever you do is wrong. The public criticise you, and you're a waste of space. On top of that, Phil's got the leadership, so Phil is no fool. Okay, an intelligent man doing a very difficult job. However, I think, and I'm talking about Councillor Blake now, Councillor Blake joined us not so long ago, but it was pretty obvious that he was picking up the threads of what was going on very quickly. And Councillor Mosdell decided to stand down, and the whole group voted for Councillor Blake. You, Chairman, will know, as I know, old soldiers, you need a leader. And you can identify a leader quite easily. And I would say Ed is probably one of the best leaders I've seen around for a while, out of uniform. We'll debate that afterwards, Claire. Ed is a leader, and he's in this instance, with what is going on, changing systems and what have you, he's got it off pat already, and he's briefing us, he's telling us, and he will do exactly the same for the whole council. He is an excellent leader, and I put money on him. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. Thank you, Ian. Councillor Jarman, Chris.
Thank you, Chair. The essence of what we're doing here is moving from a system which has become increasingly dictatorial and narrow, protective of information, protective of data, protective of financial exposure, to a system where we can hope will bring us a great deal more openness and transparency, to echo Councillor Mosdell's remarks. I was reached out to by Councillor Blake. We've had a number of discussions, and I am assured, and I believe in his commitment to that openness and transparency, particularly as it relates to council assets, our financial situation, the budgetary data, and all other aspects which are important to the well-being of this council. That openness and transparency, coupled with a move to a committee system, brings him very much into the sphere of all of our influence, and we should entrust what we do tonight to him as our new leader. So we will be endorsing Councillor Blake, principally for his openness and transparency, principally because we're moving away from a secretive, closed environment to one where information will be available to all 39 members of this council. And that is why we've supported the move to a committee system. And I believe, as leader, Ed Blake will deliver it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jarman. Councillor Love, Carl.
Thank you, Chair. Education failed twice. The people. Community pantries put through turmoil. Devolution, no sense of direction really at all, just rolling over and having our bellies tickled. You're not allowed to express an alternative view, and I've paid the price tonight for that because I expressed an alternative view with the party. That's what I feel. Our committee system, I wasn't in favour of, to be honest, at the beginning, but I feel it offers a new beginning, a coming together of councillors from all parties, and that's what it should be. The party politics, they get left out there, not in here, and we've seen party politics played out in here tonight. So I will be voting for change, difference. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Love. Councillor Brady, Paul.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I first start by saying congratulations to you being appointed chair of the council. Regarding leader, I admire anyone that has been leader, wants to be leader, because it is a really, really tough ask. You can't please everybody, but it's a role that people take on because they're committed and they want to do this. I've only known Councillor Blakehead since he became a councillor. I'll just down a few words. A lot of them have been said. He is a quick learner. He's very level-headed. He's very calm. He's very focused. He's a good businessman, and he's got good leadership skills. From my days working, when I was working, I know what the skills of a good leader should be. Devolution is the biggest thing that's going to come our way quite quickly, and it's almost too quick in a way. Councillor Brodie mentioned about the public. I don't think the public have got a clue really what devolution actually is all about, because residents say to you, you know, what's this about a mayor and joining with Hampshire? So I don't think that there is enough out there in the public domain about what devolution actually means for people of the Isle of Wight. And like Councillor Mosdale, you know, I'm on the fence about this, but we have to get the best deal. If the Labour are going to push us down this route, which they are, we've got to get the best deal we can get, which may not be the first deal on the table. So, and as it's just been said, we are now going into a brand new system of committees, which again, like Councillor Love said, I was unsure about the committee structure. Councillor Mosdale did a great job of convincing the group that it was the right thing. I now believe it is the right thing. So a new system, it's time to have a new leader, and it's time to take control of devolution in a different way. And I think that's why I'll be supporting Councillor Blake, the role as leader of the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brady. Councillor Spink, Peter.
Thank you, Chair. Much of that which I was intending to say has been said really by others, and there's no point repeating it in detail again. But I do think that the reason for a lot of us in this chamber supporting movement to the committee system is because many members of this chamber have felt that there has been a problem getting information from the Alliance group, getting information from the leader of that group, Councillor Jordan, and very little involvement in the decision-making process. Now, Councillor Jordan says, well, it's a cabinet decision, form of governance that we have, and I'm entitled to make delegated decisions. And he's absolutely right, or we're entitled also to appoint his cabinet members to make delegated decisions. But I personally don't like that very much. I like to be involved. I didn't stand to be a councillor to be kept in the dark, and I do feel that I've been kept in the dark for the last 4 years. We don't know a lot of what's going on, usually under the cloak of commercial confidentiality, which is stretching it, in my view, on many occasions. One of the questions I wanted to ask in members' questions of the leader was whether or not the Horsebridge Hill development, the 145 houses that are said to be affordable, will actually go to islanders, and will we actually be given the detail? I suspect not. Will we know how many goes to islanders? Will we know how many people come off the housing register? I suspect
Councillor
not.
Spink, can we wind this up so we can move to Councillor Garrett, the last one to speak?
Well,
thank you for your comments, though. Thank you.
I've not spoken for very long, and I wish to complete.
We've got about 40 seconds, but we have overrun this evening. We've got a lot of business to attend to. Please, Councillor Spink. I've got one more.
I don't consider that's very independent chairing, I have to say.
Going to let that go. But I am an independent chair. Thank you very much, Councillor Spink. Councillor Garrett.
Thank you, Chair. I've listened very carefully, and a lot of the comments around the leadership discussion are actually comments around the way the committee system will work and will be so different from the cabinet member system. The entitlements to data, the information or whatever, that will come forward because service committees collectively will receive that data. So I think it's really important that we don't confuse those two things. It is true that Councillor Jordan has sometimes been very robust at times with me. He's also been gracious enough to apologise when that robustness has gone beyond what he has felt was acceptable. What I have felt with Councillor Jordan in my time working with him leader to leader, that he is prepared to listen. He does take things on board. He does seek to persuade and influence where he can, and I think that's an important trait in that. I have not had that difficulty gaining data and information from him and from his former cabinet colleagues. Maybe that's partly because of the way in which I engage with people. I don't know. It is a new system, but just because something is new doesn't mean everything must be changed. Some things can stay the same. And I've articulated this to Councillor Brodie, who was in touch with me around these things. I think continuity in this strange fifth year of a four-year cycle, one I deprecate, is one that's going to be very important. I'm sure if he is elected, Councillor Jordan will continue to be robust, but I think we may find that the committee system will also mellow some of those aspects of things. And we may discover that other chairs also have levels of robustness that test us all. But I have great faith that Councillor Jordan, working within the committee system, is the right person to deliver on this. But it will matter also that the team that we collectively as a chamber elect to support whoever is the leader over these coming months. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Garrett. I'm going to hand over to the monitoring officer now, and we will go to the vote.
Thank you, Chair. Councillors, as there are two nominees, I'm going to do a roll call again. So I'll just call councillors by name, and if you can just indicate which nominee you support. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Andre.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Bacon.
Sorry, point of order, Chair. The new constitution requires a named vote to be alphabetical by member, not by group.
Thank you, Councillor Brodie.
Fair point, but I've got a new list. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Through you. I'll just go through the alphabetical list. Councillor Adams. Sorry, I didn't hear. Jordan. Thank you. Councillor Andre.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Beston.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Braden.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Brodie.
Abstention.
Councillor Cameron.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Churchman.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Critchinson.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Drew.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Fuller.
Councillor Phil Jordan.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Gladwin.
I will be abstaining from this vote.
Abstention. Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Jarman. Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Phil Jordan.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Lever.
Councillor Phil Jordan.
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Sioni.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor McLean,
Abstention.
Councillor Mosdell,
Councillor Blake,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Oliver,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor PC Wilcox,
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Price,
Councillor Ed Blake.
Councillor Quigley,
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Quirk,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Ray Redrup,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Sarah Redrup,
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Robertson,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Spink,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Stevens,
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Stewart,
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Ward. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. We have a tie. It's 18 each way. So over to the chair.
Thank you, Francis. I could explain all sorts. I've had a great conversation with Councillor Blake the other day. He is able, I'm sure, at some point to bring a lot to this chamber. I'm also pretty disgusted with the way that the schools vote went. That was a major fail, but on the flip side of the coin, that could have been propped up at the extraordinary meeting. We are entering, without shadow of a doubt, turbulent times over the next year. We have a new constitution in place and a new committee system. It's my belief that we need experience to navigate ourselves through that. And actually, if there's a very strong deputy leader, then we shouldn't have too much trouble. So I've already voted for Councillor Jordan, and that is my vote. Thank you. Next item agenda is number 10, to elect deputy leader of the Isle of Wight Council for the ensuing year. And I would like to ask for nominations, please. Councillor PC Wilcox. Okie dokie, Councillor Lilly.
I wish to nominate Councillor Garrett. And I'll come back to speak on his behalf.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lilly. Do we have any other nominations? Peter, straight in. Councillor Spink.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Jarman, please, and I'd like to speak on his behalf.
Thank you very much. Do we have seconders for Councillor Garrett? Seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Stewart. I'm sorry. Let me cheeky. And a seconder for, excuse me, Councillor Jarman. Thank you, Vanessa. Would the nominees like to speak? Michael, Councillor Lee?
I wish to put forward Councillor Garrett, who served this council well for, well, since we were both elected back in 2017. He's very much an islander and is, you know, brought up through poverty, actually, in the lake area, before sort of going off the island. And he passionately believes in getting equality and diversity amongst our community. He represents his ward extremely well through his newsletters and his communication with his community. I believe that he will, as he has done in his role as chair of audit and governance, will be a good foil for Councillor Jordan. He will challenge him. He will bring things to this committee and to others, and he will want to see the committee system, a different kind of leadership, put into place. And I think it is right that the deputy leader is very much, along with Councillor Brodie, the architect of that committee system, because he will know every part of it and component to make sure that it's fair. I also think that he is very highly thought of across the region, and I think he will be able to communicate with those our other partners extremely effectively with Councillor Jordan. So I wish you would vote for him. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lee. I'm aware of the time. We've been almost running for 2 hours. Councillor Spink, you nominated Councillor Jarman. Would you like to speak, please?
Yes, I'd like to nominate, or indeed I have nominated Councillor Jarman to be the vice leader, as it were, deputy leader. Anyone who knows Councillor Jordan, Councillor Jarman, anyone who knows Councillor Jarman can't fail to notice the dedication and the amount of hours work that he puts in. They also can't fail to notice, I would suggest, that his grasp of very many topics across the council. In fact, I think I'd go as far to say that there isn't really a topic that is considered by this council that Chris Jarman isn't really a leading authority on. He reads everything, he understands everything, and particularly the financial matters. And I think he would be a credit to this council if he were to be the deputy leader. I also think that it would be a change of blood to some extent to have a leader from the Alliance group and a deputy leader who is not from that group. And one can say, and I have every respect for Councillor Garrett, but it is right to say that his voting record is with the Alliance, and it would be nice to have a deputy or a deputy leader who simply doesn't follow the Alliance mantra.
Thank you, Councillor Spink. Councillor Stewart, would you like to speak on behalf?
Can I reserve that right?
You can. Councillor Churchman, would you like to speak on behalf of Councillor Jarman?
Yes, what I can say, fellow councillors, I'm sitting in front of a brain surgeon. His capacity on fiscal matters and anything and everything is absolutely phenomenal. You ask a question and he will nearly always have the answer. I sit on pensions committee with him and it is absolutely incredible. We need somebody like that at near the top. Even if you're not leader, Chris, we need a deputy leader with your absolute breadth and experience that you have brought back to the island. So I would support this nomination and hope that others will follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Churchman. Again, I am mindful of time. We have a lot to get in the rest of this evening. Councillor Fuller? No, you withdrawn. Councillor Mosdell?
So I was a bit blindsided because I've got the utmost respect for Councillor Garrett, and I think if we'd spoken cross-party and been open and honest about it at the beginning, I think he would have got my vote actually, because I've got a huge amount of respect for him. But there's just this part of me that can't wait to watch Councillor Jordan and Councillor Jarman work together. I just can't wait. So Councillor Jarman, you're getting my vote.
It's an enduring image, isn't it?
Phil, take your blood pressure tablets now.
Councillor Stewart, would you like to?
Councillor Andrew Garrett has been a lodestone for my development as a councillor, and he has shown an immense ability across the chamber. I don't think there is any doubt that he will perform the role that he is given to the very best of his ability to support all of the islanders, and I know that he will work across chamber. I would urge everybody to support him.
Thank you, Nick. Councillor Julie Jones-Evans.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be very, very quick. Yes, I'd like to speak in support of Councillor Andrew Garrett. I first met Andrew in June 2009 at over at the vote we had, where he told me that I'd beaten him at the verification with 37.5% votes. So I've always known he's been a great one for data and numbers and truthfulness as well. And I was absolutely so pleased, Andrew, when I heard that you want to be nominated for deputy, because I've worked with you for many years at Newport, and you will be a great asset to the leadership team of this council. So you got my vote.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jones-Evans. Just 1 second, I'll just prepare something for the Senate. If there are no more comments on this, I'll hand you over to the monitoring officer and we will go to a named vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Lever.
Councillors, I shall do the same process, the roll call, with the relevant names. I've got the right list here, I think. Yeah, yes, I have. Okay, if councillors can indicate whether they're voting. Councillor Andre.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Andrew Garrett.
Councillor Beston.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Braden.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Brodie.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Cameron.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Churchman.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Christensen.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Downer.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Drew.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Fuller.
Councillor Andrew Garrett.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Gladwin.
Will be abstaining from this vote.
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Jones-Evans.
I'm going to vote for Councillor Andrew Garrett.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Lever.
Councillor Andrew Garrett.
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor McLean.
Abstention.
Councillor Mosdell.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Oliver.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor P.C. Wilcox.
Councillor Andrew Garrett.
Councillor Price.
Councillor Chris Jarman.
Councillor Quigley.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Redrup. Ray Redrup.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Sarah Redrup.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Robertson.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Spink.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Stevens.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Ward. Thank you. Thank you. Two.
Thank you, members. Declaring that Councillor Garrett is duly elected as Deputy Leader of the Council for the ensuing year. We've been at it for 2 hours. I'd like to adjourn for 10 minutes for a comfort break and then back in, well, just after 10 past. Thank you. Jacqueline. Thank you, members. We've got a lot to get through. If you could all take your seats. I've got a very interesting Batman story, Councillor Mostel, but that's for another time. Monitoring officer is just looking at whether we can move this forward in quick time and potentially suspend questions at the rear end of this meeting, because we've got a lot of nominations of chairs and vice chairs. So just going to take some advice from Francis. Francis, would you like?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The critical issue for this annual council meeting is just to make sure we get through the business of the meeting, because this is, we're actually setting up the council so that it can operate in the future. So what I suggest we do, Chair, is we move on to the which is on plan, which is move on to. Yeah, sorry, apologies. What I was saying was that it's really important that we get on with the business of setting up the council through this annual meeting. So that's priority. Hopefully we can do that before 9. But if we get into a 9 issue, then I'll advise the chair accordingly. But what I suggest is we get, and we'll prioritise that. So, Chair, through you, I suggest we go to the political proportionality report, which is 11A.
So I'm going to invite the monitoring officer to introduce this particular report, and we'll move forward.
Thank you, Chair. Councillors, this is quite a complicated report, but it's a necessary legal report that we need to go through. This report's about reviewing the representation of political groups and determining the allocation of seats. Essentially, what this report does is look to see what groups, what proportionality groups have in terms of the size of the group and in terms of the number of seats available on council committees that are subject to proportionality. What we have in the report is the size of the groups. Also attached is the initial calculations of the groups and their allocations. That's essentially a mathematical calculation. It can't be exact, because this can't be an exact mathematical calculation because of the way the figures work out. So there is some fractional adjustments, either upwards or downwards, but the principles are that no one group can have sole membership of a committee. That's clearly not the case here. The other principle is that the majority group have majority representation on the committees. That's not the case here because we don't have a majority group. So essentially what we've had to do is we've had to work the calculations so the allocations are based on representation across the committees in terms of the size of the committee and the size of the groups. And then we have to test that against the overall proportionality of the whole council. So there's a dual calculation here. So the first part of the business, Chair, is the calculation, which is attached at Appendix 1. And with that appendix, the members will see the allocation that they have in terms of the various committees that are subject to proportionality. Just to mention that we have had an informal discussion as officers with group leaders and the underlying councillors, just to make sure that we could test some of these figures. So that's the first piece of information for councillors. In terms of the second part of this, in terms of Appendix 2, is once we've worked out the allocations and the size of the committees, groups, and this only applies to groups, groups have a specific number of allocations, and it's the duty of the council to appoint according to those nominations. So there's no discretion for councillors not to agree the group nominations. So so the next bit of the bit we need to go through is the group allocations, and I think that's a bit complicated because we've received nominations from the groups. We just want to make sure I'll read those out. But again, this is, you know, once I've read these out, what I suggest, Chair, is that we go through a block vote for them rather than individually. For any contested ones later on in terms of chairs, then we'll work out a process for that. So in terms of the so if councillors can just bear with me because I'm working with a few pieces of paper. So the first one is for the Adult Social Care, Public Health and Housing Needs Committee. The Alliance.
Councillor Bowley.
Sorry, Chair. This is extremely disappointing. I suspect that Mr. Fernandez is going to go through Appendix 2 and name 100 and odd members of all the different committees, primarily because the two largest groups, the Alliance group under Councillor Jordan's leadership and the Conservative group under Councillor Blake's leadership, haven't provided nominees for these places in advance. We should have these in front of us. The smaller groups and the underlined have presented their names in advance. You're now going to waste hours because the Conservative group and the Alliance couldn't get their act together. That's the bottom line, isn't it, Mr. Chair and Mr. Fernandez? You know, is there no way in which we can just be provided with this list and deal with it? Because otherwise we're not going to have committees in place. And this meeting, you've got 37 minutes left, and I'm going to keep jumping in if it's going to be this daft. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Let me speak to Mr. Fernandez and the Chief Exec and see if we can find a solution for this. Well, this is a baptism of fire, members, isn't it? So the solution that Mr. Fernandez and the Chief Exec have come up with is to move the nomination of chairs and vice chairs up the agenda whilst the Chief Exec goes round getting the other bits of information on the paperwork. Here we go. Where there's a will, there's a way. Adapt, improvise and overcome and all that. I knew this would be fun. So I'm going to have to refer to Mr. Fernandez, inviting the scene to advise on the nominations received for chair and vice chair to committees. Mr. Fernandez.
Thank you, Chair. We've not received all the nominations, but for the ones that I have, I'll go through those, and then perhaps, Chair, we can have a block vote if they're not contested. So for Policy, Finance and Resources Committee, I mean, the way that works is that's an automatic appointment for the leader of the council through the constitution. So for Policy, Finance and Resources, the leader becomes the chair of that. For Adult Social Care, Public Health and Housing Committee Vice Chair, we've got a nomination for, this is Vice Chair, for Councillor Redrup, S.
Sarah.
Sarah? So Chair, I just wonder whether there were any other nominations for that. Is that agreed? Yeah, we haven't got nomination for Chair, so if.
Fine, but we had.
Okay, I'll go.
Sorry,
Francis,
Members, please, let the motion
Yeah.
explain.
So you asked us for nominations, that's why I had to go away and do them and give them back to you, so I'm confused
Yes,
with what's going on.
yes, thank you. Where the confusion has arisen is because you put it on the other sheet. Right.
Go on, please.
Okay. Simon, the sheet that
I asked everybody well in advance for all of this information, everybody. I pleaded to you all to provide this information and you haven't. At the very last minute, officers are
Members,
run around.
Councillor Love. I remember at your initial briefing, we discussed things with dignity and respect to one another. This has obviously been, as I think Councillor Fuller was quoted in the press, a monumental cop-up of epic proportions. I'm clearly very new to this role. Mr. Fernandez is helping us out here, as is the Chief Exec. So please, a little bit of time, a little bit of restraint while we sort this out. Councillor Morstor.
Councillor Thor, can I just suggest that you read out each of the committee chairs, then the vice chairs, people just nominate one person or two people and we move to the vote.
That's a very sensible,
Time in a minute.
absolutely.
Just start from the top of the list and then vice
Mr.
chair.
Fernandez has that list. Let's move that forward.
While I try and keep Councillor Nicholson calm.
Oh, that's a very sensible suggestion. I'll do that, Chair. Thank you. So if I can just start from the top. Policy, Finance and Resources. So councillors are aware that's an automatic leader appointment. Adult Social Care, Public Health and Housing Committee. We're looking for a nomination for Chair.
I nominate Councillor Mosdell for the Chair of Adult Social Care.
Second. Have we got anybody contesting that? No. Good. And Councillor Sarah Redrup as the vice for that, correct?
That's correct, Chair.
Anybody contesting that? No, tick box. We'll do this on block. Children's, sorry, Fernando.
No worries, Chair. Children's Services, Education and Skills Committee Chair. We've got Councillor Lilly nominated. You withdraw.
Withdraw and going to Vice Chair. Do we have nominations for Chair of Children's, please?
Yes, please, Chair. Can I nominate Councillor Brading?
Councillor Brading, Chair. Do we have any other nominations for Chair? Councillor Fuller.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Councillor Debbie Andre. Thank you.
Should we just go straight to vote? Contested.
If it's contested, you go to a roll call. That's the thing.
What, each one?
Yeah. So,
okay. So we're going to move to the vote for. We're going to move to the vote for Chair on Children's with Councillor Debbie Andre. Sorry, Councillor Debbie Andre and Councillor Paul Brading. Francis.
I'll try and be quick, councillors, but because there are two nominations, we're going to have to do a roll call again. So if you can just say who you're supporting, councillors. Councillor Adams. Sorry, Andre.
Please press your buttons, councillors.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Beston.
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Brodie.
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Churchman.
Councillor Brady.
Councillor Christensen,
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Daw,
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Downer,
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Drew,
Councillor Brady.
Councillor Fuller,
Councillor Debbie Andre.
Councillor Garrett,
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Gladwin,
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Henry,
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Jarman,
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Jones Evans,
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Jordan,
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Lever,
Councillor Debbie Andre.
Councillor Lilly,
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Love,
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Lucioni,
Councillor Andre.
Councillor McLean,
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Mosdale,
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Nicholson,
Councillor Brady.
Councillor Oliver,
Councillor Brading.
Councillor PC Wilcox,
Councillor Debbie Andre.
Councillor Price,
Councillor Paul Brading.
Councillor Quigley,
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Quirk,
Councillor Paul Brading.
Councillor Ray Redrup,
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Sarah Redrup,
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Robertson,
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Spink,
Councillor Brading.
Councillor Stevens,
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Stewart,
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Ward. Thank you.
Councillor Brading, congratulations.
Okay, Chair, now for the Children's Services Education and Skills Committee, the Vice Chair, we have Councillor Lilly as a nomination.
Do we have any contestant?
Can I nominate Councillor Stephen Hendry, please?
Thank you. Any more nominations?
Chair, I'll do the roll call again.
Nice and quickly.
Okay, I'll
Please.
do it very quickly.
Help.
Councillor Adams, Councillor Andre,
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Bacon,
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Beston,
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Blake,
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Brading,
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Brodie,
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Cameron,
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Churchman,
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Christensen,
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Fuller,
Councillor Michael Lilly.
Councillor Garrett,
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Jarman,
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Jones Evans,
Councillor Michael Lilly.
Councillor Jordan,
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Lever,
Councillor Michael Lilly.
Councillor Lilly,
Councillor Michael Lilly.
Councillor Love,
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Lucioni,
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor McLean,
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Mosdale,
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Nicholson,
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Oliver,
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor PC Wilcox,
Councillor Michael Lilly.
Councillor Price,
Councillor Stephen Hendry.
Councillor Quigley,
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Quirk,
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Ray Redrup,
Councillor Henry.
Councillor Sarah Redrup,
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Robertson,
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Spink,
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Stevens,
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Stewart,
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Ward. Thank you.
Thank you, members.
Lily. Simon disagrees, Lily, yeah?
Congratulations, Councillor Lilly. Right, nominations for.
The next one, Chair, is Economy Regeneration Transport Infrastructure, Chair. We have a nomination, Councillor Stewart.
Chair, if I may not,
Councillor Stevens, I saw a hand first, but no. Yes, no.
All I want is the numbers. When you give the result out, I'd like the voting numbers as well. Thank you. Like that.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you very much. Councillor Peter Wilcox.
Yeah, I'd like to now nominate Councillor Julie Jones-Evans, please.
Thank you, Laura. Councillor Blake, was there a nomination?
yes, please, can we nominate Councillor Chris Quirk, please?
Chris Quirk. Thank you.
Okay, I think it's more complicated now.
Great, here we go again.
Yes, Chair, because we have 3 nominations, we're going to have to do a runoff process, which is basically we'll take a vote on the 3 and we'll eliminate the one, unless there's a majority, a clear majority, we'll eliminate one and then we'll run the vote again. So if we can do that, I'll try and be as quickly as I can, Chair.
You would have thought.
No, it's not. Well, unless there's a majority, So
that would make sense, wouldn't it?
So if I can call out the names, and if members can indicate which one of the 3 nominees they support. So if I can start with Councillor Adams. Councillor?
Councillor Jones-Evans.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Jones-Evans.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Jones-Evans.
Councillor Beston.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Brady.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Brodie.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Cameron.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Churchman.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Christensen.
Councillor Jones-Evans.
Councillor Jones-Evans.
Councillor Downer.
Councillor Jones-Evans.
Councillor Drew.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Fuller.
Councillor Julie Jones-Evans.
Councillor Garrett. Councillor Stewart. Councillor Gladwin.
Councillor Jones-Evans.
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Jarman.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Jones-Evans.
Councillor Jones-Evans.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Jones-Evans.
Councillor Lever.
Councillor Julie Jones-Evans.
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Evans.
Councillor McLean.
Councillor Jones-Evans.
Councillor Mosdell.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Nicholson.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Oliver.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor PC Wilcox.
Councillor Julie Jones-Evans.
Councillor Price.
Councillor Chris Quirk.
Councillor Quigley,
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Quirk,
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Ray Redrup,
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Sarah Redrup,
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Robertson,
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Spink,
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Stevens,
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Stewart,
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Ward,
Thank you, members.
so we have to do a runoff, aren't we? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Chair. As we have, the results are for Stewart, we have 4. For Jones Evans, we have 16, and for Quirk, we have 19. So Councillor Stewart gets eliminated, and now we run the vote again for Jones Evans and Councillor Quirk. So I'll do that again, Chair. So I'll be as quick as I can. So councillors, if you can just choose between one of the two, please. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Adams,
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Andre,
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Bacon,
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Beston,
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Blake,
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Brading,
Quirk.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Cameron,
Quirk.
Councillor Churchman,
Quirk.
Councillor Critchens,
Jones Evans.
Jones Evans.
the Downer,
Jones Evans.
Councillor Quirk, Councillor Evans, Councillor Fuller,
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Gladwin,
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Quirk, Councillor Hendry,
Quirk.
Councillor Jarman,
Quirk.
Councillor Jones Evans,
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Jordan,
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Lever,
Councillor Julie Jones Evans.
Councillor Lilly,
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Love,
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Lucioni,
Councillor Evans.
Councillor McLean,
Councillor Joan Evans.
Councillor Mosdell,
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Nicholson,
Quirk.
Councillor Oliver,
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor PC Wilcox,
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Quirk.
Quirk.
Sorry, I'm reading the wrong list. It's getting late, Chair, Councillor, sorry. Councillor Price,
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Quigley,
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Quirk,
Quirk.
Councillor Ray Redrup,
Quirk.
Councillor Ray Redrup, Sarah Redrup,
Jones Evans.
Councillor Robertson,
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Spink,
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Stevens,
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Stewart,
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Ward, for who?
Councillor
Quirk.
Quirk.
Councillor Drew,
Quirk.
Quirk, if there are 3 nominations. So there's a majority for Councillor Jones Evans, 20 to 19.
Councillor Jones Evans wins 20 to 19. Congratulations.
Okay, okay, yeah, Economy, Regeneration and Transport Vice Chair. We've got Councillor Stewart, who's nominated as Vice Chair.
Councillor Stewart nominated for Vice Chair, correct? Do we have any other nominations for Vice? Or a second, sorry, Julie, thank you. Councillor Blake.
Can I propose Councillor?
Sorry, can you speak into
Oh,
your-
sorry, can I propose Councillor Ward, please?
Councillor Ward. Guess what happens next?
Is there any other nominations?
Do we have any other nominations, Vice Chair? Thank you.
Okay, so the Vice Chair for Economy, Regeneration and Transport. If I can go through the list again. Councillor Adams.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Beston.
Councillor Ian Ward.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Brady.
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Brodie.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Cameron.
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Churchman.
Yeah.
Vice Chair.
Vice Chair, isn't it? Yes, Councillor Ward.
Councillor Critchinson.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Downer.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Drew.
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Fuller.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Gladwin.
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Jarman. Ward. Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Nick Stewart.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Lever.
Councillor Nick Stewart.
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor McLean.
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Mosdale.
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Nicholson.
Ward.
Councillor Oliver.
Councillor Ward.
Councillor PC Wilcox.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Price.
Councillor Ian Ward.
Councillor Quigley.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Quirk.
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Ray Redrup.
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Sarah Redrup.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Robertson.
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Spink.
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Stevens.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Ward. Thank you. Councillor Ward. 2019.
Councillor Ward, 20 to 19. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you, Chair. This is for the Environment and Community Protection Committee, Chair.
Nominations for Chair, please. Press the button, Laura. Councillor Brady.
I'd like to nominate
Quiet, please. Councillor Brady.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Ed Blake, please.
Thank you. Councillor Julie Jones Evans.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry, I didn't hear which committee it was, beg your pardon. I'd like to nominate Councillor Karen Lucioni, please.
Thank you. Do we have any other nominations? Thank the Lord. Right.
Just going to run through that process again. Councillor Adams. Councillor Andre.
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Beston.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Blake,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Brady,
Councillor Blake,
Councillor Brodie,
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Cameron,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Churchman,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Christensen,
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Daw,
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Downer,
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Drew.
Councillor Blake.
Sorry, I missed it.
Councillor
Blake, yeah. Councillor Fuller,
Oh,
Sorry, councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Garrett,
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Gladwin,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Hendry,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Jarman,
Blake.
Councillor Jones Evans,
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Jordan,
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Lever,
Councillor Karen Lucioni.
Councillor Lilly,
Lucioni.
Councillor Love,
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Lucioni,
Me.
Councillor McLean,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Mosdell,
Councillor Blake,
Councillor Nicholson,
Blake.
Councillor Oliver,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor PC Wilcox,
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Price,
Councillor Ed Blake.
Councillor Quigley,
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Quirk,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Ray Redrup,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Sarah Redrup,
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Robertson,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Spink,
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Stevens,
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Stewart,
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Ward.
thank you, members.
Twenty-two nineteen, yeah? Lucioni, 20? Yeah. 20 to 19. Lucioni.
20 to 19, Councillor Lucioni. Congratulations. Nominations for Vice Chair, please. We need to fly through this. Nominations for Vice Chair. Councillor Andre.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Jonathan Bacon.
Thank you. Any other nominations?
Chair, given the time, can I make a suggestion that we just make sure that the chairs are in for the remaining rather than the vice chairs? Because although
We've got 2 more to do, Carl.
Have
we?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
sorry, my
might
mistake.
need to suspend.
Can I make a suggestion?
But,
I think our new constitution doesn't allow us to extend, but it does allow us to suspend standing orders. So, because we need to do this, and I think, I think the 2 major groups have got some blame attached to all of this, to be honest, because I know what's coming next. I will formally propose that we suspend standing orders till a maximum of 9:30 p.m. tonight. That's tonight, not tomorrow. Thank you, Chair.
Speaker seconder. Councillor Lilly. Are we all in favour? Anyone against? Abstentions? Thank you, Councillor Brady. Councillor Bacon.
Just before Jeff spoke, I was going to make a suggestion as well, because I'm conscious we're trying to do an awful lot and we shouldn't do it in a rush. I believe one course of action we could take if we're now going to 9:30, but if we're still struggling to complete the business, we could, I believe, adjourn this meeting and recommence it at 6 o'clock next week, when we're going to all be here anyway, and just push back the start of the next full council. And that would give us an opportunity, without having to go through the palaver of notice and so on, to conclude the business and perhaps give us some time, which we might not have this evening, to get things done in a sensible and ordered manner.
Thank you, Councillor Bacon.
No, Chair, I think you're aware that a hell of a lot of councillors aren't there that night, and that's not really, I don't think that's fair in democracy sense, because it's you.
For the moment, we are extending to 9:30, so let's crack on as best we can and get what we can nailed, and then we can pick it up from there. Yeah, no showboating. Get it done. None of it's la 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 la. It's you. So, Vice Chair, we're seeking a nomination. Thank you.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Ed Blake, please.
Thank you, Councillor Brady. Any more nominations?
Vice Chair.
This is for Vice. Jonathan is nominated, yes.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So we have two nominations, Blake and Bacon. So we'll do the process again. Councillor Adams.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Beston.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Blake.
Sorry. Councillor Brodie.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Cameron.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Churchman.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Christensen.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Downer.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Drew.
The Blake.
Councillor Fuller.
Councillor Jonathan Bacon.
Councillor Garrett.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Gladwin.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Jarman.
Blake.
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Jonathan Bacon.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Lever.
Councillor Jonathan Bacon.
Councillor Lilly.
Councillor Bacon.
Bacon, was that? Yeah. Yeah. Councillor Love.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor McLean.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Mosdell.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Nicholson.
Blake.
Councillor Oliver.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor PC Wilcox.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Price.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Quigley.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Ray Redrup. Councillor Quirk. Sorry.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Blake, yeah. Councillor Ray Redrup.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Sarah Redrup.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Robertson.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Spink.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Stevens.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Ward.
Councillor Blake, 21. Councillor Bacon, 18. Congratulations, Councillor Blake.
Nomination for chair.
The next one is the Appeals Committee. I'm actually the chair currently, but I'm happy to come off that because I figure I'm going to be a lot more busier reading up on protocol and why we have to do this all the time. And there couldn't be a better way of doing it. But anyway, so I seek nominations for Chair of Appeals. Councillor Brodie.
Yes, Chair, I'd like to nominate Councillor Carl Love. Thank you.
Councillor Love, thank you. Any other nominations? Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Andre, while speaking, I think we've missed out Vice Chair of the Policy and Finance Committee, which does not go with the Deputy Leader role as was established earlier. It's not in the Constitution.
Okie dokie.
Yes.
Not at all. So nominated, we've got Councillor Love, Councillor Andre. Any other nominations? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor, this is the Appeals Committee. Councillor Adams.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Bacon.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Beston.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Blake.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Brodie.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Cameron.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Churchman.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Dorr.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Downer.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Drew.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Fuller.
Councillor Debbie Andre.
Councillor Garrett. Councillor Gladwin.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Hendry.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Jarman.
Love.
Councillor Jones Evans.
Councillor Debbie Andre.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Lever.
Councillor Debbie Andre.
Councillor Lilly. Councillor Andre. Councillor Love.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Lucioni.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor McLean.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Mosdell.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Nicholson.
Love.
Councillor Oliver.
Councillor Love.
Councillor PC Wilcox.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Price.
Councillor Carl Love.
Councillor Quigley.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Quirk. Councillor Ray Redrup.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Sarah Redrup.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Robertson.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Spink.
Councillor Love.
Councillor Stevens.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Stewart.
Councillor Andre.
Councillor Ward. Double check my figures. 22, yeah, 2217, yeah, that's right, it's Councillor Love.
22 to 17. Congratulations, Councillor Love. Very enjoyable committee.
Chair, we could go to the policy and finance and, yeah, the Vice Chair.